So, if you've ever wondered what Jayce would name his band, Jayce and the Hyperplay just might be it. And the genre? A pop music cover band. Hyperplay happened over the weekend and it was quite a spectacle, with the Kuala Lumpur Hunters beating out Vietnam's Superstar Destroyers 2-0 in the finals of what was a GPL power fantasy for the beleaguered Malaysian team. Now, what did I think about the event? It was pretty okay, I guess. It's hard to care all that much about a tournament that has little bearings to its World Championship, featuring what I would see as second-tier teams from each country, with the exception of KLH, of course. Sure, it would be cool and all to have a World Cup kind of tournament where the top players would receive call-ups from the countries to represent them, but that was already happening with the Asian Games. And I'll constrain this to the Southeast Asian region, having one team from each country represented on the stage. Hang on, isn't that just a GPL light? Well, sure, there were teams from Laos, Brunei, Myanmar, and Cambodia in addition to the usual suspects, but with there not even being a server in those countries and the players not even at a challenger level of play, was there any expectation for them to perform at all at this event? What did I think of the games? Um, I think my earlier rant has kind of said enough about what I thought about the quality of the games as a whole, so I'm not going to go all too much into the details here, but the overall level of gameplay was what people expected. This messy, scrappy team fighting with teams cobbling together team compositions around their comfort picks rather than a very um, interesting take on the current metagame. Jay seemed to be the biggest pick in the tournament, therefore the title of this vlog, with him being able to be blind picked as a carry top laner. The topside focus seemed to be the dominant strategy throughout the Hyperplay tournament itself. A champion that rewards a strong understanding of wave control in the top lane matchup, and Jayce can be absolutely oppressive to deal with should he get too much of a lead in the game. Teams were comfortable taking him on and using the champion kit to explicitly spell the skill differences between players in the top lane. Because if you have a player who understands the laning phase as a top laner, you give him Jayce, and he's going to absolutely destroy somebody who doesn't have as much of an idea of when he needs to call the jungler to help, when he's not able to go in and trade, when he is just supposed to give up the CS and then be able to compensate that later on using the Q threat that he has. Now, interestingly enough, the winners of this tournament, the Kuala Lumpur Hunters, were the team that deviated away the most from this carry top strategy. So this is also in part to the way the top laner plays. So Shiro, he's known for picking up tech and utility champions, and he did show a larger repertoire. He always goes for Shen, Ilawi, and Rumble. It's just very, very like I'm just gonna wave clear, play it safe, and then contribute to the team later on. The closest thing to any kind of split pusher is the Ilawi, which doesn't really function like the very high skill cap split pushes. Like you think of Camille, you think of Fiora, you think of Jayce, but he showed a little bit more on the repertoire. He went for the Kled, he went for the Cannon this time around, but he ultimately avoided the Jayce pick in the tournament, and if Kuala Lumpur Hunters to draft that, it would be passed over to the mid laner R-Hatch as a means of contesting what was a power pick in the Hyperplay meta. What did I think of the music? I think I enjoyed it. It was cool, but it didn't make me want to search up the artist and go like, "Oh, what song is that?" I really want to know what it is, and then keep playing it on repeat on YouTube or Spotify. Much less buy the album or whatsoever. I don't really listen to CL or most of the musical acts that performed, and to be honest, to me, it was the sideshow, and I just ran it in the background as I went about other issues in between the games. I did miss the performance of the Sam Willows, so that was the only musical act that I would have known. And I do listen to some of their songs. They are a Singaporean band. I do kind of like some of their music. So Take Heart is uh, one of the songs that I do like quite a fair bit. My taste for music has always been stuck in like alternate rock, and I think most people 92, 93, 90 to 95 would know what I'm talking about. Good Charlotte, and the like, and so those musical acts and the newer sounds don't appeal to me as much as the likes of like Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco, which kind of are my playlist staples. I mean, there's like this whole other generation that grew up with K-pop, and I just looking at the way CL was received at Hyperplay, I guess that was supposed to be the huge thing. It's like the MTV Spotlight and all that kind of thing, but it kind of was lost on me because I just don't follow K-pop at all. So it's hard for me to buy the hype. It's like if somebody who has never heard of I mean, it's hard to not have heard of fakers appearing like in the mainstream media whatsoever, or to somebody who doesn't know about who know about Dota, and then you start talking about Miracle. Okay, it's not even that small. It's probably like I'm I, I I'm lost with this analogy, but you know what I'm saying. If I don't follow it, I don't consume the media, I don't get the hype. So what did I think of the broadcast? They brought in the big guns for this one. Kobe and Pastry Time killed it, and themselves somewhat. It was funny to see them struggle with the same challenges that I used to have when casting this absolute fiestas, especially the Village and TLC. Holy crap. We would like just cast a best of five in the afternoon, best of five in the evening, is then it would go to 5 games each. It's 10 hours of casting these 40 kills in 20 minutes, 50 kills games, and it's so insane. And but what was amazing to see Kobe and Pastry Time do is that they were able to keep the intensity up, and they were mentioning that their voice is dying and stuff like that, but they continued to deliver throughout. I remember that when I was casting this is just how hard it is. Okay, by the time the first best of five finishes, you're just drained. You go into the fifth game, it's like, okay, Bempic finishes. Okay, what's happening in the game? And I'm gonna predict what's happening in the game. None of that is gonna happen in the game itself because of the way that they play. They just fight after fight after fight, and then, oh my god, I'm losing my voice. I can't keep this up. You finish up the game, you somehow pull through, and then you need to go to the next series. I mean, this wasn't the best of five, but it was two best of threes within the same day. But it's still the same challenge. It's still a lot of games to go through. The analyst task was actually very cool. Um, I I felt that as external talent, so these are people who have not really been in the region itself, brought in to commentate and provide insight on the matches. Of course, this is with Mark being the exception to that. They did the research decently well, and they were able to deliver coherent research explanation to things that provided insight through a logical flow. The dynamic with Fish as the moderator and Clement being the key insight giver definitely shows their prior experience working together in the LPL. In the LPL, and Mark, that's my man, Mark or Flavors, as people would know him from the broadcast. He was able to gel right in there with them, and he looked like a natural, bringing the local perspective and I mean the delivery. Wow, providing the right amount of home crowd flair as well, rooting for the Singaporean team in the semifinals match, while keeping the analysis on point. I think that was really well done. The broadcast talents, I think I enjoyed that part of it. It was the one part where I would go back to just to hear them go through the end of the stat segment, and I haven't found myself doing this for some time already. This is the first analyst desk in some time where I've just gone back just to hear and see what the analyst desk had to say. Maybe it's also one thing to see a comparison as into what these people would say as compared to what I would have thought about the games, but for me to have gone back uh, and listened to it one more time for a match that I was not involved in, I think that that was something that they did well. It might be them, it might be the event, it might the way things were done up, but I went back and I went to watch it again just to hear what they had to say. The production was also well done. I think that people have raved enough about this, and nothing less could really be expected. So MTV pairs up with Riot. Riot wins an Emmy recently for doing the whole dragon thing during the World Championship. But they paired up to do this event. Production was on point. We didn't get a dragon, but sound was there. Everything was there. So was this a win for esports? Maybe. I think it's visibility with the music part of things. It felt a little tangential to each other. It's just like two separate events happening at the same time, and it felt a little bit forced, somewhat, I guess. Maybe because I didn't really get the music part of things, and from what I heard from some of my acquaintances in Singapore is that they noted that a large percentage of the crowd was there for the musical acts, and that was the main crowd pooler. And the games were the sideshow of sorts, with many of them clueless as to what was going on, and the crowd actually kind of like leaving and ebbing out when the games were being played. Um, so just to reflect a little bit on this, is into with this create more fans for esports? Would it make people more captivated by this phenomenon that has captured, I think, us to a certain extent? And when I say us, it's the people within the esports community, people who have a certain passion for this. So for me, I fell in love with esports with the StarCraft 2 GSL broadcast, and uh, was enthralled by the hype of a relatively new game by Blizzard back then, and it was engaged by the amazing storylines that existed. The enigma of Marine King always being the second place guy and was known for playing this insane marine only strategies, and therefore that was his name. It actually went further back slightly as well. He called himself Foxer as a tribute to Fake Boxer, who also played the same tournament as him. And then there was the three-way rivalry between MC, Nasty, and MVP, of which two of them are coaching League of Legends at the moment. I'm still kind of wondering where's MVP today, and watching them play inspired me to get better at the game, and I did so. So the draw of it was to see this cerebral game of real-time chess that pitted minds against each other and combined that with the dexterity needed to execute it. It was contemporary chess boxing with all the injuries of boxing, not the bar of waiting for turns in chess. Who wants to wait for that? And the excitement of it all pumped up to an 11. But here, when I watch it, the way I processed it, it kind of lacked that feel to it. It's like spells were cast, people died, stuff happened, and I think that's how I think I would have felt about it if I were a casual viewer in the audience. The visual the visual intuitiveness of MOBAs isn't really the highest, and I think the broadcast talent did a good job in trying to sell the story, deliver a coherent narrative, and deliver the play by play. But still, it's something that if you've never played a MOBA before, especially for some of these, maybe it was a younger crowd that appeared in the audience, especially for people who aren't really familiar with it. Like if you've not played Dota before, if you've not played League of Legends before, it can be quite hard to follow and it's quite hard to appreciate. It's not like fighting game where you watch it and it's like, yeah, the guy's health bar is going down lower, one guy's comboing. Of course, that's in the same play. What was the skill that was involved? It's not visually intuitive, and it kind of gets lost on you if you need somebody to explain it to you. It should be that the explanation enhances the feeling they get. Wow, something amazing just happened. What was it that happened? Now, if I were 18-year-old me again, and that's when I kind of like got exposed to StarCraft 2, and if I were to watch this event, I don't think it would have done the same magic for me that StarCraft 2 did for me. It would have been fun. I think I would cheer on the Singaporean team, but there was no sense of legacy, and I think the storylines so hard to combine. And I think that was the biggest missing thing for me in terms of how effective was this in drawing me in. I think that there was one very big highlight that would have struck a chord with people. So the video that was done with Arikalik, the one with his mom asking him to wash the dishes, take out the trash and stuff like that. It was fun. It was a slight gag and stuff like that. But it was really cool. And I think that that is one video that would have done some work with me in terms of making me a fan of Arikalik in particular. I wouldn't become a fan of League of Legends. It wouldn't make me want to play the game the moment I got home from the event, but it would have made me a fan of Arcalic and is somebody I will watch out for if I see Dominic Lowe in the future. Hey, isn't this the guy that appeared at this event? Oh, how is he doing now? Somebody that 3 years down the road, I might just Google to find out what's happened to this guy. Is somebody if I hear news about him as somebody that it sows the seeds for me to want to follow this player. So I think in part it had a lot to do with the second tier competition, especially from the likes of Thailand, Philippines, and Vietnam. We didn't see Mineski, which is a very, very, very big household name. It's a very, very big legacy name from Philippines. The Thailand team of Ascension, that's a team with international accolades, having gone to Worlds previously as Bangkok Titans, and then the other ones who have been the top team in the region, and you didn't have any of the VCS teams or like Gigabyte Marines who made a name for themselves in the world stage last year, or I mean EVOS of course. I almost felt bad for the Catch 22 that the Kuala Lumpur Hunters found themselves in. Like, okay, Thailand's not here, Vietnam's not here, Philippines not here, and Resurgence from Singapore is not here at this tournament as well. Just by virtue of being the only professional team, being the only first tier team at this competition, it kind of like sets them up. Like if you don't win this, you become a laughing stock, and you kind of have to win this. So it was a little bit unfortunate for them, and I'm still glad that they did win it. I think that they have some issues that they need to work out by the time that the GCM comes around, and we'll talk about that probably in another vlog. But and oh, on a side note, I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that naming yourself Superstar Destroyers and then becoming the favorites of a tournament only to implode in the finals has a sh- Schadenfreude-esque sense of irony to it. I mean, if you were, if this was the Vietnam team going to Asian Games and they call themselves Superstar Destroyers, and they're going up against the likes of Faker from the Korean team, they're going up against the RNG, the mostly RNG squad from China, then yeah, that's an appropriate name. But you came into to this, everyone was saying, yeah, Vietnam is such a strong region, and you call yourself Superstar Destroyers, and then you kind of destroy yourself. Okay, so I do get that different people are drawn to different things due to different reasons, and maybe the hyper cerebral super spike-ish chess game isn't the draw for everyone, and maybe the 60 and 20-minute game might be a better demonstration to draw the attention of a younger generation of gamers that actually has their attention divided between like console games, that's like the Switch, the PlayStation, all these stuff, PC games, and with Steam and all these things, and especially mobile games that send you more notifications than kills happens within the same period of a generic agreements game. But my overall rating on Jason the Hyperplay, I give it a solid 7 out of 10.